So I've been paying attention to homelessness for a while as I see it, get worse and worse in pretty much every Western country. And I'm facing it myself. I might be evicted by the time on the 31st and when I have to be out. So, I've stumbled upon this video and I thought it was just really relevant, so I'm going to show this video and then maybe give a few comments about it.
Listen, forgive me for saying this, but if somebody mentioned homeless people years ago, you may have thought of people who didn't make good choices in life and ended up on the streets, or people with substance abuse problems, drug use, or mental health concerns. Listen, there's a whole new breed of homeless that's out there now, and listen, a lot of them are there through no fault of their own. I'm going to talk about that, and I'm also going to share my first time experiencing a homeless shelter as a police officer, as a uniformed police officer. I'm going to do that today with Ross, former police officer, security expert, and bodyguard to billionaires. What's with all the homeless encampments that we see right across the country now?
What I'm seeing is there's a whole strata of different people, much like in normally you talk about people, you'd say, oh, there's the upper middle class, there's the elite, there's the upper middle class, there's a middle class, lower middle class, and the poor. Well, there's almost that same kind of strata for the homeless now, where you've got mental illness, addictions, lost a job, lost a home, lost a job, lost a home, lost a wife, lost the kids, down on their luck, who are just out and they can't afford to get back in the game because it's too costly to get back in the game now.
Yeah, it is too costly to get back in the game. We have people out there who have done everything right in life. And listen, interpret that however you want, but they've gone to school, they've gone to college, they've gotten a job, they paid their bills, they tried to buy a house or they're renting. With Canadians now living paycheck to paycheck, if you get kicked out of your place for whatever reason, the landlord decides to sell the house and you're gone. Listen, try coming up with the first and last month rent. And rent costs these days, what it costs to actually rent a house or an apartment is absolutely through the roof. It's ridiculous. So you got people who have done everything right in life. They've done everything that they were told to do in order to become successful Canadians, uh, and they're on the streets. I mean, it's incredibly unfair.
When people fall off, they're so the drug dealers are out there willing to give the drugs to them, and they're doing that to try and placate themselves from the pain of being homeless. How did my life end up like this? And then it just goes downhill from there. It's precarious, and the women, of course, have got a different problem with being homeless.
I'm going to share a story. I've talked about this in the past. The first time I ever attended a homeless shelter was as a police officer, uniformed police officer. We received a radio call for there was a gentleman who was wanted, all kinds of different warrants. They weren't a very nice person, right? We went in, and it was very very cold outside, but we went in. And let me tell you, the conditions in this homeless shelter, I learned right then and there. I told myself, if I would ever be that unfortunate, I will fend for myself. I'd rather live in a homeless encampment and at least try to have some control over my surroundings. I'd rather live in a bus shelter or somehow try to fend for myself.
It's true, Randy, and we're sort of past the time too because of the cost of everything. It used to be that when society was doing well, people would give a lot of money to charities. Charities would have the money to help people out, and what's happened is become a government industry now for looking after uh, the homeless. As I said, that one word makes it all sound kind of sweet, homeless, but it's not sweet, as you know. And the city of Toronto spent over $1 billion last year, which worked out to $51,000 for a homeless person, if you can believe it. And they're not delivering the goods well. They're not doing it well. $51,000, you can get them an apartment for that. So you could do all sorts of things for it. I would rather start to see, Randy, that we started to see that money go back to places like the charities and the churches, and they can make that money go a lot farther than the city can. The city turns it into a union job, a skill set for this. We can't do overtime. And they put all of these layers on top of it. And all of this money never gets down to the person that needs it. But I wonder what the odds are if you catch one of these people early on in the game when they're just starting to go homeless, that you could turn them around and get them straightened out rather than waiting till it's been months or years. And what it must cost then to deal with the issues.
It's such a sad situation. Listen, the world has changed, man. The way people see homeless has changed, and yeah, people want to help any way they can. There's a homeless shelter close by, or an encampment, I should say, close by. And just last winter, there was somebody who was dropping off wood at the homeless encampment because they were having fires there. And the individual who was dropping off wood basically had the back of his pickup truck filled with wood, firewood, backed it up, opened it up, and then took off. Now, some people saw that as enabling this, right? And you got other people who were dropping off food and, warm food and bread, and they were getting a hard time because they're seen as enablers. But you know what? They don't know what led to the encampment being there. They don't know the decisions that the people made, the residents of the encampment staying there. All they know is that people need help. They're freezing to death or they're starving. And I would rather, and most people, I think, they're not worried about the social, they're not worried about what got them there. They just want to help. They want to deliver wood. They want to deliver food. And that is absolutely, the right thing to do. I don't want to end this video without any solutions, or at least trying to offer up any solutions. Are there any solutions to this? How can this be fixed?
Man, it's a tough one, Randy, because when it comes to homeless people, the average person in their home can't look after them. It's a problem bigger than what they are. Mental health is a problem bigger than what most people can deal with. Addictions are bigger than what most people can deal with. Someone needing $2,000 a month for an apartment to live in is a bigger give and ask than most people can deal with. We've been really counting on our governments as to work together uh, to help solve this problem, but they're clearly not the answer. In the meantime, I guess just keep it close to our hearts and let's not try to become so hardened. I guess that's the one thing we can do today is not try to be so hardened towards it.
Yeah, Ross, you're bang on. Listen, this is not, there's no simple fix to this. We need major reform. Health reform, criminal justice reform, mental health reform. And you can't just fix one and not the other because they all affect one another. Listen, folks, if you have any solutions or any ideas, please leave a comment. Ross, thanks for the input today, and we will chat with you again soon, brother.
Thanks, Randall.
Thanks for watching Canada Off Script. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if that's more your thing. If you find this content entertaining or helpful at all, please consider subscribing. And until the next one, stay sharp, stay.
Sorry about it was lagging a little bit there, but that's what homelessness is looking like in Canada and in a lot in the other Western countries too. And just like he said, there's huge issues with just trying to afford housing, especially now in Canada. And I'm just going to be struggling with that myself. So if anybody would like to help me, there's information if you want to donate in the description. So again, let's try not to be so hardened against homeless people and homelessness in general because they're just people who are struggling.